Hey everyone, welcome back to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's July 26, 2016. It's Tuesday. 15 baseball games tonight. Technically, if you want to get serious about it, there's 16, but hey, we're not talking about that doubleheader game that's going to happen earlier in the day. We're going to be talking about these 15 games. We're going to be breaking it down. There's so many games, so much to talk about, and it's been a while, but Big T, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back on. I've been moving for the last basically month, so it's good to be in the new house and back on the grind of podcasts and shows and just the daily grind that we love so much.
Yeah, it's nice to be back on the East Coast, right? Like, you don't want to be out on the West Coast.
I do love it. I've already noticed how much I like it too. I love that East Coast time. It's just so much better for our lifestyle.
That is right. If you guys haven't checked out fantasydraft.com, they sponsor the podcast. Check them out. They have all kinds of cash games that they continue to bump up, double ups, 50-50s, all this stuff, and a $4,500 home run tonight as well. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Use promo code Grinders. That way you're supporting the podcast and they're supporting us. So if you enjoy the podcast Monday through Friday, make sure you head on over to fantasydraft.com. Tony, we got a lot to talk about. We have a bunch of games. We're going to start with Seattle at Pittsburgh. Felix Hernandez, Francisco Liriano. Is there any interest in either one of these pitchers here?
I didn't even realize that Felix Hernandez was back until you just said his name. So we got, I mean, what's the line in that game? It looks like it's about even with the 8-run total. So, I mean, I have a little interest in it, actually. I don't know if he's on a pitch count. I'll need to look. Do you know anything about a pitch count for him?
No, he pitched over like 5 or 6 days ago against the White Sox. Got hit pretty hard against the White Sox.
In the majors?
Yeah.
When you got me on your podcast and I don't even know he pitched, I must have been moving during that stretch.
All right. Time to cancel the podcast and move on to the next day. No, but yeah, he came back. Didn't look sharp in that start, of course, first start back. But the one good thing we can take out of it, 94 pitches in that start.
Yeah, that's the most important for me. I don't even really care as far as if he got hit or not. I just want to see him throw some pitches and just see if he's healthy or not, which he seems to be if he threw 94 pitches. So I'm definitely interested against this Pittsburgh team that struggles versus right-handed batters. I mean, you only got to get through a couple guys to really have a good game. So, yeah, I'm interested. How about you?
Well, just looking at the slate overall, there's not a ton of options on the hill. So if I'm rolling out multiple entries tonight, which I think tonight's actually a good night to kind of just make a optimal lineup and roll out one lineup across the board in tournaments. But if I'm running out multiple teams, you're really going to have to make the decision if you want to go Felix against Pittsburgh, Salazar against Washington, or Wright against Detroit. So I think that Felix is definitely in play. He's not a cash game option here tonight, though.
No, yeah, especially just coming back he was out for at least a month or so. So, yeah, I mean, I would never use him in cash games until you see him throw at least one good game. So, yeah, I mean, not cash games, but definitely tournaments for me.
What's your thoughts here on Liriano? Nice start last time out. It was a matchup that was against Milwaukee, which Milwaukee's better against lefties, but 13 strikeouts. I feel like that's more of a result of the Milwaukee batters than it is Liriano.
Yeah, he always scares me in Seattle. I mean, I get terrified of Gutierrez and Nelly Cruz going against the lefty. They just pound the ball, and I'm never comfortable, especially with a guy like Liriano going against them, walking people in front of them. And, yeah, I mean, I'm not comfortable enough to go with a guy like that.
You mentioned Nelson Cruz. I have some interest in Cruz, Gutierrez, Lee. I feel like these guys are in good spots here against the lefty.
Yeah, I mean, even Sean O'Malley, if he's in the lineup's only 4,800 on fantasy draft, which is he's hitting the one hole a couple times, even versus a lefty, I believe. So if he's somehow in that one hole for 4,800, I really like him in a little 3-man stack with Franklin and Nelly Cruz.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Is there any bats here from Pittsburgh that you like against Hernandez?
I just can't do it. I mean, I can't get on the right side of Pittsburgh. They've been really bad all year for the most part, but I just don't like any of them outside of Marte, and I just can't pay almost $10K on a fantasy draft for him. So I'm going to give it a big no for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't even really love a one-off here. If you think that Felix is going to get rocked, then stack him. But outside of that, man, I don't see the upside here.
That's why I like Felix, I think. It just looks like the perfect matchup for him. He's got one start under his belt since coming back, and he's got, I mean, one of the best teams in baseball probably for him to face. I mean, they're just not that good against decent right-handed pitchers like Felix.
All right, let's move on. Colorado at Baltimore. Chris Tillman, Chad Bettis. I find Tillman a little interesting in this start because Colorado has just been so bad. One of the worst teams in July as far as WRC Plus goes. Do you have any interest in Chris Tillman here?
Yeah, I don't hate the price. I mean, I just hate the ballpark, and I like targeting the Rockies with lefties more than righties. I mean, with Blackman and Cargo being two of their most dangerous people from the left side, they do so much more damage against right-handed pitchers. But I don't like Colorado either, even in the ballpark. So I don't completely hate it at 15.9.
Yeah, I think it's more on FanDuel where you want that win and kind of have to expect Baltimore to score runs here on Chad Bettis.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, they're minus 200, 9-run total. Actually, the 9-run total down a run and a half from tonight's game. So that tells me Tillman's a pretty good play at minus 200. So maybe you're onto something there with him.
All right, well, we'll see how it plays out, but I definitely have him as a guy that I'm going to be targeting on the slate. Colorado, outside of Blackman, Cargo, Arenado, Story, you're playing these guys, for upside. Is there any of these guys that you like?
I mean, if you're just looking at price plays and upside, like Blackman is 7,200. I mean, that is ridiculous on fantasy draft. He should never be that cheap, I don't think, hitting out of the one hole even versus Tillman. So, I mean, you can get both lefties, 7,200 and 8,400. So, I like both of those guys just as far as upside plays.
Yeah, I don't mind them. And the only site that I see this guy on is DraftKings. David Dahl got called up. This is one of the best prospects in the Rockies organization. This guy's just mashing the ball in the minors this year. He's 2,100 over on DraftKings. So that's a DraftKings play for you. He hit 6 in tonight's game. Had a hit in that game. It looked a lot more comfortable as the game was going on. And a funny story real quick is his bags got lost as he was traveling. So he was using other players' bats and batting gloves and stuff. So I expect him to be a lot more comfortable here in this game against Tillman.
Yeah, I was laughing. I was watching the game earlier and heard them talking about that, how they were going around and giving him all the different stuff, a bat here from Story and all the different – this is a pretty funny story.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. Like, how do you let that happen to a Major League Baseball player? But I guess it just goes that it can happen to anybody. Now, looking at Baltimore, I feel like this is a good team to target on this slate as far as stacking and, not even stacking, just playing some one-offs.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at prices, like, I don't love the total only being at 9. It scares me a little bit, but these prices are just off the charts value. I mean, you can get Machado at 78, Chris Davis 72, Adam Jones 72, Trumbo. I mean, every single one of them is 8K or lower looking at all their prices. So, I mean, you can't get much better than that. Against a guy like Bettis, the upside is just off the charts.
Yeah, every day I give out 3 guys on Fantasy Draft that I feel like under 8K, and it's just guys you want to target in all formats. And the first one is Manny Machado at 7,800. That's just too cheap for Machado. Tony kind of touched on it, but that's just ridiculous. There's no reason this guy should ever be under 8K, and he is, so take advantage of it. Take advantage of Trumbo being 81 and take advantage of Davis and Jones being 72, but Machado my favorite out of the 4.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense. I don't understand why he can possibly be that cheap. I mean, 3,900 on DraftKings from Machado versus Colorado in this ballpark. I mean, just makes no sense.
Yeah, Chad Bettis, a guy, 352 WOBA, almost a 36% hard contact rate to righties dating back to last year. This is a good spot for the Orioles. Let's move on. I think we're on the same page there. San Diego at Toronto, Stroman and Andrew Cashner. I don't have interest in either one of these pitchers. I've realized one thing. The Padres are not the same Padres that we saw in the first 2 months of the season, and I'm just not going to target Stroman here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit bigger of a total, too, 9.5. And I agree with you about the Padres, and I mean Stroman isn't as good as Sanchez tonight, but I mean I don't really love either pitcher either. Maybe on FanDuel where you need a win. I mean -230 or whatever. I'm kind of with you though. I just don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. Even though Cashner's been better, obviously you're not going to take him versus Toronto. I mean that's just suicide. But he has been better, and I mean maybe he gets traded and he's trying to showcase himself to people, but I don't know if he's capable of rising up to another level.
The thing is, like, I feel like Stroman's going to be popular on this slate too, being 7,400 on FanDuel.
Yeah, if he's popular, then I definitely want no part of it.
All right, let's talk bats.
Getting rocked too. I mean, I could see him literally getting rocked versus the Padres.
Yeah, and he pitched well in his first game back against Arizona, but Arizona's been a team that struggled with righties all season. You just got to kind of catch on to that. They've been, and like where Arizona is probably struggling more and more against righties, we're looking at a team like San Diego's getting better against righties. So not a great matchup for Stroman. Let's talk bats in this game. We'll start with the visiting San Diego Padres. Is there anybody that stands out to you here for the Padres?
Just looking at prices, and I don't think so. I mean, you got like Matt Kemp at 7,500. I mean, I don't think that's the worst play ever. Jankowski leading off. I mean, he's always got the stolen base threat at 6,800. But there's just on a full slate, I don't see any reason really to go there.
The one guy that I absolutely love outside of Schimpf as a tournament player, I like him always, but Alex Dickerson, he moved up to the 5 spot in the game against Toronto tonight, or last night, whenever you're listening to the podcast, and 3 hits, double and a home run. Like, I feel like this is a guy that's just going to continue to hit, and he's one of the reasons why San Diego is getting better against righties.
Yeah, that's 3 straight big games too, I think, for him, and only 5,700 on Fantasy Draft is very appealing.
Yeah, and you can get Solarte cheap if he's in the 4 spot. Take advantage. Maybe we look at like a 4, 5, 6 stack here for the Padres with Solarte, Dickerson, and Schimpf, and play the upside guys.
Yeah, I like it actually for cash games, even though it sounds crazy. I always like to target people like that for cash games because I know San Diego is going to score some runs on Stroman, but I'm not sure they're going to go crazy with scoring. So, I mean, I don't think it's bad at these price points at all for cash games.
Now, Andrew Cashner, a guy that we love picking on with lefties, Michael Saunders, I feel like he's just an elite play on this slate.
Yeah, I've been watching Saunders closer and looking at his numbers, and the weird thing is I think he's better against left-handed pitchers. I don't know why. Lately, it looks like those are his numbers, and I could be wrong, but, I mean, either way, he's a good play. I'm not saying he's not, but I don't know. I just don't feel good about Toronto today. I think they're actually a fade for me all the way around.
Yeah, we're on opposite sides of this game. I like the Blue Jays here. I'm not a big Cashner person. I agree with you. I feel like he's trying to pitch better to get traded. He's definitely a guy that people are looking at to get traded. So I don't know. Jose Bautista at 8,100 in the leadoff spot on draft. I have some interest there as well.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty good tonight. I mean, he didn't do anything crazy or anything, but he did look healthy, which is a good sign for his power and just getting back in rhythm for this Toronto team.
Washington at Cleveland, Danny Salazar, Gio Gonzalez. Salazar, when we're looking at the slate, he definitely has the upside, but I feel like he's still risky here in a matchup against Washington.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that you just never feel super confident in when you roster him, and I know on Fantasy Labs and a few other sites, he's ranked as the #1 guy when I was looking earlier, which is a little surprising to me with the prices and everything considered. But I'm just never comfortable with him. I don't know what it is about him. I know he's got good upside, and on a slate like tomorrow with no aces no aces for the most part, he's pretty appealing because of the upside. But I'm just not super comfortable with him.
I don't think I'm comfortable just picking on Washington. Now, I know they're much better against lefties, but I still feel like this is a team that just wins, and Salazar, a guy that, he'll attack batters. And is this a spot that he attacks batters and, we see a spot where Harper and Murphy take him deep because they're getting pitches to hit?
Yeah, I mean, Murphy especially. I love it when pitchers try to get in there and get – it reminds me of the playoffs last year. He would hit a home run every day, and then the next day you'd be like, they're not going to pitch to him today, are they? And then there they come attacking him, and there goes the ball out of the yard again. I mean, he's just so good when you think you can get the best of him and go after him.
Yeah, and when we're looking at Salazar in depth, he doesn't walk a lot of lefties. So I see him pitching more to Murphy than Harper. Usually, probably a lot more than what we're used to. So I have a lot of interest in Murphy and Harper on this slate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and it's going to be pretty sneaky, I think, on a full slate. I can't imagine either one of them is very high owned against one of the better pitchers in Salazar.
Yeah, they're definitely tournament plays. I don't mind Salazar. I don't really love Gio Gonzalez, and I just feel like that's every time he takes the hill.
Yeah, there's just no way I'm playing him against the Indians on a full slate. I mean, he's one of the better pitchers on the slate, and he's capable, but there's just no way I'm going to use him.
No way I'm playing him.
Tomorrow night at tip-off, I'll be like, man, I changed my mind. There's no way.
Now, I will say the Indians rank in the bottom half in the league in WRC Plus against lefties. Are like 24th. I just don't like Gio in this spot. I like Gio against teams that really, really are just not good against lefties, and I just don't know if this is a spot. And I feel like this is an excellent spot to target a guy like Mike Napoli.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually just looking at his name right as you said that because he looks like he's just in a phenomenal spot. I mean, his price is a little higher than you would like to, which is the perfect example of the tournament plays I like because he's going to be low owned, obviously. He looks just a little too high priced for me, which is, yeah, I mean, I like everything about it. He's had a great year, great splits edge, and, I mean, yeah, seems like a good play to me too.
Any other bats that you like here for the Indians?
I mean, maybe Juan Uribe with a splits edge too at only 4,300, just as a value play. I mean, you don't really need pitchers today, so I don't know if you need a guy that cheap. But 4,300 for a guy that has a decent edge, and I mean, he can hit the long ball. I don't hate that as a value play.
If we get Rajah Davis in the leadoff spot, I don't mind him in this spot against Gio. It just all depends on where he hits because you're going to have to pay up a little bit for Davis. So I want him in that leadoff spot, or I think I'm going to be avoiding him.
Yeah, the hard part with him is either it's first or ninth most days, which is obviously polar opposites. So, yeah, I think he'll probably hit in the one hole, don't you think?
I would hope so. I like his price a lot on FanDuel at $3K if he's in that leadoff spot. That'd be a guy that I'm going to target a bunch.
Yeah, no question, especially in cash games when you can get on base and get running and stuff.
Philadelphia at Miami, Jared Eichhoff against Tom Kohler. I feel like I'm on an island because every once in a while I'll get a wild hair to play Kohler, and I felt like the start last time against Philadelphia at Philadelphia was one of those times, and I hyped him up on the podcast. Dean told me I was crazy, and Kohler went out and had a really good game. Is this a spot he could do it again here against the same Philadelphia team?
Just being a Vegas guy like I am, it looks like a great spot. I mean, it's an 8-run total. He's a minus 150 favorite against a light-hitting Philadelphia team. I mean, yeah, it looks like a great spot to me. So I agree with you completely and disagree. I always like to disagree with Dean. It's fun.
He's getting picked on even when he's not on the podcast. The thing that I like about Kohler tonight is as an SP2 on these sites like Draft and DraftKings, you really don't need much more than 15 to 20 fantasy points for his price tag. And I've just a guy that continues to go out and put out double-digit games. He struggled a little bit, but, he struggled at St. Louis. He struggled against the Mets and Detroit. Like, those are spots that you're probably going to struggle against.
Yeah, and 6,400 on DraftKings is just right in that price range where if you can get a guy like that in, it just helps your bat so much because he's just so cheap. And what did you say he is on FanDuel?
FanDuel, he is 6,900.
Yeah, I mean, so basically the same price range, and it looks like all the pitchers on FanDuel are priced up a little bit in that same range. So, like you said, I think a lot of people will be on Stroman at 7,400. So he's a nice little pivot at 6,900, and I like him a lot. I'm on the same page with you.
Jared Eichhoff on the other side of this game, really good against righties, but even with his high strikeout and low WOBA to righties, he still gives up a lot of hard contact. Is there any bats here that you like for the Marlins?
I mean, I was just looking at the prices, and the prices don't line up really good. I mean, Dietrich at 5,600, I kind of like, but he just hasn't been that good. I mean, I've taken him a lot, and he's just never does anything for me. So it's tough to get excited about him.
The only way I think that I can get excited about Dietrich is if they give Realmuto the day off and we see Dietrich bat leadoff.
Yeah, which I mean, probably isn't going to happen, is it?
I don't remember the last time I saw Realmuto out of the lineup though.
Yeah, I mean, he just plays and just he always hits up top, and he hasn't even done that much either. I mean, he's solid, but I always like Dietrich up top. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he probably doesn't deserve it, so I don't know why I like him, but he's just one of those guys I've always liked.
One guy that I absolutely love in this matchup, and I feel like he's a great tournament play because he's expensive, is Yelich. I like Christian Yelich a lot as a baseball player, and you're going to have to pay up for him here, which makes him a good tournament play.
Yeah, we were just talking about it in that last game. I love it when I'm looking at the projections and it looks like he's just in a different shade because of how bad a play he is. But like you said, he's a little high priced, but he's still a great play because of the matchup. And no one's going to play him. I mean, no one is going to have Yelich tomorrow, which gives you a ton of upside. And I like the matchup versus Eichhoff. I don't think he's as good as he was earlier in the year.
Any bats here stand out to you for Philadelphia?
I just can't do it. I mean, just talking about value guys, I mean, maybe Cody Ashley at 6,000, but they're just not doing anything on offense. So I just can't do it. On a full slate, it just isn't the right time to try to pick on a matchup like this.
Philadelphia, they got hot there for a little while, but they've kind of slowed down and cooled down. So I'm on the Kohler train. I'm not on Philadelphia here. Chicago at Chicago. The Cubs and the White Sox playing in this. We called it the Windy Series, last night, and we have Kyle Hendricks and James Shields. I feel like this is a spot that Hendricks could go out again and just pitch well enough to pick up a win. Pitch 6 innings and maybe pick up 5 or 6 strikeouts on the way.
God, I mean, he's another guy that I just don't like at all. I mean, I don't know why, but he gets yanked early in the games here and there. I don't like anything about him. I don't know what it is about him because he's a decent pitcher when he's in there, but I just don't like him. I hate the White Sox too, so this might be a game that I just kind of stay clear of on a full slate.
Yeah, the thing is, he's so pricey on this slate. I guess, he's not in that 26, but he's the highest priced pitcher on the slate. Is he the safest pitcher on the slate, though? I feel like he probably has the highest floor on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking up and down the list, and you're probably right. I mean,
that's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, especially on the 2 starter sites where you have to play 2 guys. I mean, yeah, I think he is. It's crazy. I mean, I feel ashamed to even say it.
One other thing that I want to note about Hendricks in the start is they're on the road, which we might see an extra inning pitched, and he had 6 days of rest instead of 5 days this turn. So that extra day, only 89 pitches in his last start, could be a spot where we see him get over those 100 pitches and throw 7 innings.
It's just so random, though. That's what tilted me so many times with this guy. He'll be in spots like this tomorrow, and then all of a sudden he'll randomly just get pulled in the 5th inning, and it'll make you pull your hair out. I just don't get it. I mean, it's something with him that it happens. I guarantee it happens tomorrow, too. I can feel it coming after you said that. He's going to have a shutout going in the 5th, and he's going to get pulled, and everyone's just going to hate life.
Oh, James Shields on the other side here. He's been pitching better. He's not been giving up those 8, 7, 6, spots. He's been giving up a couple, but he gives up the long ball. That's the reason that we like Shields. I'm guessing you don't like Shields here against the Cubs.
No, I don't like him, but he has been better. So that's why I think I'm just staying away from this game. If you look at his last 2, 4, 6 starts, he's been pretty good in all of them. He's just not striking out anybody, which is kind of weird because he was always a strikeout pitcher for most of his career. So it's really weird to see him preventing runs but not striking anyone out. So, I mean, I'm not on him, but I don't think I'm on the Cubs either.
Yeah, Chris Bryant, Rizzo, the 2 guys that I think I would play.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking
Your
I mean,
power
Rizzo,
upside, yes.
though, 10.8 on fantasy draft. Like, there's no way I can pay that price. Even in a tournament where I said that's a good strategy, I just can't do it.
I can.
I'm sure it's a good play if you like the spot. I mean, he's going to be low owned.
I like the home run upside. Like, Shields is a home run guy. He gives up home runs, 1.86 home run per nine, dating back to last year to lefties. Like, so you're paying up for a home run guy where the next game, we'll talk about it here in a minute, and I feel like he'll be a guy we'll get to compare first basemans here. We got Detroit at Boston, Stephen Wright, Mike Pelfrey, and before we talk about the pitchers, you have David Ortiz around the same price as Anthony Rizzo against Mike Pelfrey. And how many more people are going to take Ortiz than they're going to take Rizzo?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. Yeah, it's going to be at least like 3 or 4 to 1. I mean, easily.
And I feel like that's the reason why, we want Rizzo in tournaments.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't really like either one of them, to be honest.
Oh, we're going to talk about that then. Stephen Wright, he hit this matchup against Pelfrey. I'm a huge fan of Stephen Wright. I feel like I play him more than everybody else. I talk about him more than everybody else. Another spot, I'm checking the weather real quick to make sure it's a good knuckleball weather. But, yep, another spot that I'm going to play my boy right here.
God, that 11-run total scares me, though. that 11 is tough to look at when you're playing a pitcher.
Yeah, 11 opened at 11. That's crazy.
I mean, it has a lot to do with Pelfrey, obviously, but it's still tough to play a pitcher in an 11-run total game.
Yeah, that's a little nutty. I'm not going to lie, but I feel like Wright is another option for tournaments.
I've been picking on Detroit a lot lately. I don't like their. I mean, with Mickey really struggling like he is, it just isn't the lineup that it was earlier in the year and the last couple of
years. Any interest in Pelfrey? I'm guessing no.
Yeah, never interested in Pelfrey. But he's another guy that I know everybody loves to pick on him, but I really don't. I mean, I've talked about it on the shows and probably the podcast with you. I mean, I just don't like to pick on him because he gives up 4 or 5 runs, but it's never like just a collision where he's giving up bomb and bomb and bomb to where you're going to win a tournament going against him. I mean, it's probably good in cash games to take a guy or two because he does give up runs. But I don't think he's the best to stack against, even in an 11-run total like tomorrow.
So to kind of help your point here, in his last 10 starts, Pelfrey's only given up 3 home runs. So,
yeah,
he's not giving up the bombs, but he's facing a team that's just El Fuego. I know they struggled a little bit against Verlander, but Pelfrey's not Verlander. So I'm not going to tell you no to any of these guys in cash, but they might be a decent fade in tournaments. But when you're looking on FanDuel, like maybe you look at Xander and Hanley Ramirez here because they're just so cheap.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love taking 1 or 2 of them maybe, and I love them for cash games too, just because, like I said, I mean, he's going to give up runs. I mean, Boston is going to score 5 or 6 runs more than likely, but I just think it's going to be off singles and doubles and walks and, I mean, different weird stuff like that. I mean, I just don't think it's going to be by the long ball. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with taking 1 or 2 guys, especially in cash games.
Miguel Cabrera still super cheap, just about everywhere across the industry. Is this a spot we could play, Miggy?
I'm just watching him, and he reminds me of Stanton earlier in the year. It's not as bad. I'm not saying that by any means, but he just looks lost at the plate, and I've taken him every day for like weeks, and he just doesn't do anything. And I'm finally off him lately, and it's just I need to see something from him before I get back on the wagon.
Yeah, I think I'll take a shot on him on draft just because he's under 8K. Like, and look at who's around him. Like, you don't get a name like Miggy in that price range. So for that reason, I'll probably play him on 1 or 2 teams. And one other guy that is like criminally cheap is Justin Upton. And if you want an upside tournament play as a punt option that has massive power, play Justin Upton as your cheap guy.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he's good at hitting the knuckler too, isn't he?
Oh, I don't have those numbers.
I think it's in my head that he's pretty good against the knuckleball, if I remember. Either way, 5,600 on draft is just ridiculous. And Tyler Collins might be hitting next to him in the lineup, so you could have like a 6-7 type thing for free. So, in an 11-run total. I really like that.
Yeah, they're gonna score a couple runs against right. Like it's gonna happen. So, and if it becomes a bullpen game and the Red Sox have to use a lot of their bullpen, you might even get Buchholz, who we both think is just awful.
Well, I just don't get why is Upton so cheap all year? I mean, he's been great the last stretch. I mean, the last month or two.
I don't know why they continue to have him cheap.
I mean, 5,600 on fantasy draft. Are you kidding me? I mean, what does that make him on DraftKings? That makes
super cheap.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now.
Yeah, super cheap. All right.
Oh, there it is. 2,900 on DraftKings. Like that's a phenomenal price.
I wanted to pull up how Upton has done against Dickey because he's never faced right, and Justin Upton against Dickey is 2 for 17.
So not that great then.
Yeah, different kind of knuckleballs, but it's just something to note.
Yeah, I mean, either way. I mean, it was in my head that way, but either way, at that price point, I'm willing to take a chance.
I think we're on the same page with that. St. Louis at New York. Jaime Garcia, Cologne. This would be the second part of the doubleheader. I have some interest in Jaime Garcia. When we look at the Mets, for the most part, this team is left-handed heavy, and their right-handed hitter in Cespedes is much better against right-handed pitching than he is against lefties. And it's just a team that, strike out a lot against left-handed pitching. What's your thoughts here on Jaime?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate him on this slate where there's no clear-cut top-tier options to where you just have to play him. I mean, these are the slates I like to take Jaime Garcia, if I ever like to take him. But on a full slate, I still have a hard time with it, but I can definitely see where you're going with it.
I want that pitcher in a good matchup, and I feel like this is the spot. Even though he's on the road, the St. Louis Cardinals have actually been better on the road this year. So I feel like this might be the spot, and we got to kind of think that Cologne's going to give up some runs, so Jaime's going to get some run support.
It's just so hard seeing Bartolo Colon favored in the game. I mean, it's just a slight favorite, but he's favored over Jaime Garcia. It's just hard for me to take a pitcher that's an underdog to Bartolo Colon. Just a mental block.
That has to scare you a little bit. I definitely agree with you. That's got to scare you because where Colon was good to start the season, he's given up 6 earned runs in 2 of the last 3 games against the Cubs and the Nationals. So, the St. Louis Cardinals right up there with those other 2 offenses, and I feel like this is a spot that I just see Colon getting hit a little bit here.
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's weird to see the line. I mean, I might even take St. Louis tomorrow because that line just looks stupid to me, which means I shouldn't take it. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of the lower totals of the night, too, sitting at 7.5. That game and the Dodgers game are both the lowest. So, I mean, I can definitely see where you're going with it.
Let's talk bats in this game. Cardinals visiting team. It'll be the second half of the doubleheader. We'll have to pay attention to see who's in the lineup in the early game and in the late game. They get the Molina. You got to think they're going to give Molina a start off here, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But anybody stand out to you here for the Cardinals?
I really don't see a single play that sticks completely off. I mean, most of the guys are priced up. I mean, you got Diaz at 93. How in the world is the Jerk Store 8,400 on draft? I mean, that's just too high. Even though he's been hot. I mean, maybe Holiday at 7,200 is the best that I see. But what about you?
Nothing that really stands out to me outside of maybe Piscotty if he's in that 4 spot. And, we kind of think that Colon would get some runners on. So Grichuk, he's expensive. You mentioned Jerko, expensive. Diaz, at these prices, you're really stacking them. Maybe Matt Adams. Matt Adams might be a guy that on draft where you can play 5 first basemen technically. I'd have some interest in Adams at 7,200.
He's finally been hitting the ball a little better, too. I mean, he was in a long slump there for a while. In the last week or so, he's finally come out of it and has 2 home runs in the last 3 games. So that's good to see. And, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize he's been that much better lately. So he's definitely in play.
Yeah, and that game that he didn't have a home run, it was against Casimir, and I think he pinch hit. So I like Adams in the spot, and FanDuel, he might be a cheap play at first base that you can pay up at some other positions at 2,600 over on FanDuel. So I don't mind Adams here.
Yeah, 2,600 on FanDuel is very nice, especially because everybody always pays up at first base, it seems like. So it's nice to differentiate your lineup. And then if he hits a bomb, you're really ahead of the field in other spots.
Now, if Molina sits in the second game, we don't know. It's so early in the day. We have no idea what's going to happen with the first lineup. If Molina's out, you have to think that any of the speed guys for the Mets are in play, because we're going to see a guy, either it'd probably be what I think it's Rosario now, because didn't Pena go on the DL? I don't even know who their backup catcher is.
I think it might be Payne. You know better than me. I've been out of the loop a little bit the last couple of weeks, but
Yeah, Pena went on the DL, so I think it's Rosario.
either way, they're going to be able to run. You're correct about that.
So yeah, if Molina's going to have to sit one of these games, but who do we really target from the Mets that are run? That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their lineup, I mean, there's not that much speed. I mean, I don't see a single guy that scares me in that direction.
Make it all the point why I like Jaime Garcia a little bit more. I hope Molina sits, I hope he sits the first game.
I bet he will. I mean, a guy like that, I can't imagine he plays the early one and sits the next one.
He might play both. We never know. Molina's a machine.
He probably will play both now that you say that. I mean, that guy, he's just him and Sal Perez just.
They're machines.
Yeah.
Oakland at Texas, Sonny Gray, Kyle Loesch. All the bats in this game, every single one of them. I'm guessing you don't like Sonny Gray at Texas, right?
I like him more than Kyle Loesch.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously, I like him more than Kyle Loesch, and I'm the biggest hater of Sonny Gray there is.
Kyle Loesch. Are we even sure he's pitching?
That's what I have right in front of me.
It says undecided on the lines. I hope he's pitching because it just gives you a free square of his team to stack up.
It's him or Nick Martinez, so either way, you're going to like the bats in this game.
I mean, that Kyle, I mean, that Lowe's is just – I'm still excited from the last time he pitched. I mean, that was just such a good day.
All right, let's talk bats. We'll go with Loesch if it's Nick Martinez later in the day.
We can pretty much proceed with either one. Like you said, either way, you're going to have the same type matchup.
Yeah, it's not much of an upgrade if you see Nick Martinez in there. So, all right, let's talk bats. We'll start with Oakland. What stands out to you here for the Athletics?
I mean, Oakland, I love targeting teams like this when they go from that big ballpark to the heat of Texas. And I mean, I think they finished with 6 or 7 runs tonight, and I would expect that for the whole series, really. So I'm excited that they're in a spot like that. I don't know if it's a 3 or 4 game series, but I'm going to be on Oakland all day, every day. And I mean, everybody besides Billy Butler is in play for me.
Oh, I like Valencia and Marcus Simeon's price, 8,100, 7,800. Those are guys that I like over on draft, and I don't hate paying up for Chris. And
that's another example we keep talking about. Like, the price looks too high, but you're getting him in that atmosphere. He had a good game tonight. I mean, I like it a lot.
Now, looking at Texas for the second straight day, guys that I'm going to target in cash games, Nomar Mazara at 7,600. He's been hitting in that 2 spot. It's just too cheap.
Yeah, he's an auto play on all the sites right now until they adjust. Why is his price like that? Sometimes you get a glitch in the system and it just doesn't correct. I mean,
well, he was cold there for a little while, and he was batting like 7th or 8th, so he kind of got lost. But I feel like Mazara has been underpriced all year.
Yeah, I mean, if he was batting 7th or 8th like he was and struggling, then it makes sense to me. But when he's up top, I mean, they just need to fix. Actually, it looks like, oh no, that's on DraftKings. I was going to say they fixed it, but that was DraftKings price, so it's not as bad. But yeah, I mean, he's just too cheap.
Oh, Sonny Gray. Oh, Ian Desmond, another guy that has massive upside. Odor, Profar, Adrian Beltre coming off a 2 home run game against Oakland last night. Like, I feel like Texas, this is a good game stack. Like, stack this entire game.
Yeah, you got a good chance, and it's going to be popular. So, Yeah, I mean, hit the right combo, and for cash games, I mean, load up as many pieces as you can in this spot because there's not much of a chance of like a 1-0 game or something. I mean, worst case scenario, it's going to be like 4-3 or 4-2, absolute worst case scenario. So, I mean, I love it. Even Jed Lowry at 6,400 looks really nice.
New York at Houston, Doug Fister, CC Sabathia. Um, any interest in Fister or Sabathia here?
No, negative. I mean, maybe Fister if I had to, but no, I mean, not on a full slate. I just can't go there.
I played Fister in his last start, but I play anybody against Oakland at Oakland for the most part. So it paid off for me. I'm not going back to the well here, especially against the Yankees team. And CC Sabathia, when you're looking at Houston, they do strike out a ton, but I feel like this is a spot that we can look elsewhere as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take CC against a team that, I mean, Houston, I think, has been the best team in baseball over the last month or two. So I just can't take CC. I mean, you look at his last 2, 4, 6 starts, he's given up at least 4 runs in all 6 of them. There's just nothing good about CC right now, and he's come back to reality in a big way, and there's just no way I'm using him.
Doug Fister, 343 WOBA, gives up a lot of home runs, gives up a lot of hard contact to lefties. Jacoby Ellsbury, 7,200. Here's my final fantasy draft play. Ellsbury at 72, Gardner at 72, Carlos Beltran at 72. You can play the whole Yankee outfield here for a massive discount.
He's just another one of these guys, though, that never gets shelled. I mean, I could see taking one of the guys or 2 of the guys, but I just have a hard time full stacking against him because even when he gets beat, he only gives up a few runs. Kind of a better version of Pelfrey.
Yeah, I just have a hard time overlooking these prices for Beltran and Ellsbury.
No, I agree, and I think they're really good cash plays. I mean, I take the same view of this game as I did the Pelfrey game, just because I think they're good plays, and I love them for cash games. I just don't like it as much for tournaments because I just don't see the huge upside.
Looking at Houston, this has to be a team you look at the righties, Correa, Altuve, Springer. Altuve might be one of the top plays on the board here.
I love it when you get a team like this in a really good spot that has a few guys that are really high priced, especially when we have a bunch of cheaper pitchers. Because if you stack Houston, it's not going to be as high owned as you would think it would be just because of how expensive they are. I mean, to take Altuve and Springer, you're taking almost as much as it is to take some of those pitchers at the bottom. So, I mean, 2 guys over 10K is tough to fit.
Alex Bregman, you can get him on draft at 7,600. Really a high prospect. So another guy that we can look at here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know as much about him, but I keep hearing how good he is. So he's got to be in a good spot, and the price is right with him. So splits edge in his favor. Yeah, I mean, I like the thought of it.
Yeah, he's going to hit baseballs. He batted 306 with 20 home runs and 61 RBIs in Double-A and Triple-A combined this year. So he's pretty good at hitting the baseball. He's a high prospect. He's only 22 years old, which kind of scares me a little bit. But how good is the Houston farm system? Like, what we've seen out of the Houston farm system over the last, 3 or 4 years is just incredible.
I mean, and their team came out of nowhere, really. They just keep churning people out, like you said. I mean, just one after another. I mean, what was it? Seriously, like 4 or 5 years ago, they were like laughed at how bad they were. And then all of a sudden, it's just one guy after another that's just really good.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Arizona at Milwaukee, Patrick Corbin, Matt Garza. We talk about game stacks. Is this a spot we could stack it up?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually surprised that this total looks like it's only at 9.5. Is that right? Where's it at? Yeah, 9.5 still, and the juice is actually going towards the under. So it's actually stunning to me that it's that low because I thought for sure it'd be 10 or 10.5 with these guys. And I love the runs. I love the over. I love picking on both of these guys.
Jake Lamb, he is 0 for his last 19. He said that he's been bothered by a bruised hand that happened in Toronto last week. When we think about it, ever since that Toronto series, he hasn't had a hit. So I'm a little worried here.
Yeah, I mean, I play the streaks a lot. I think you do too, but I play streaks a lot more than most people do. There's just zero chance I'm taking a guy that's 0 for his last 19. It's just not happening. I'm never going to play a guy in that big of a drought.
Yeah, and then the news comes out like his hand's been bothering him. Like instantly, I'm going to wait until he hits a home run before I even think about it.
He needs to for sure have a good game at least, and then probably a home run, and just he needs to look good. I mean, before you can even think about playing him.
The crazy thing is, like, this is a spot that he could definitely have that home run game. And as much as I love Jake Lamb, I'm with you, man. I play the streaks as well. Segura is a guy that I love here. You're going to have to pay up for him on just about every site. And I feel like it's an excellent spot here against Garza.
And just one more thing about Lamb. I mean, most people don't believe in the streak, so they're going to see the matchup. They're still going to play him, so he's going to be a lot higher owned than he should be. So it makes it even more a strong case of the fade for me. But back to Segura, yeah, I mean, Segura's been awesome lately. He's the opposite side of the coin where he's red hot, and then you pay a little higher price, so he's going to be low owned. So he's almost the exact opposite of Lamb for me. I mean, I love the play.
So if you're playing on draft and you're playing on DraftKings today, can you explain to me why Paul Goldschmidt is so cheap?
I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, he should not be cheaper than Segura and Lamb. I know that much, and he's only 200 more than Lucroy. Even I mean, why is Braun and VR over 1,000, 1,1400 more than him? It just doesn't make sense.
I understand you want to say it's a righty-righty matchup, but it's Matt Garza,
Yeah,
354
Garza,
WOBA, 34% hard contact rate. Like, give me a break.
yeah. If it's Garza, the splits definitely don't matter.
Exactly. Oh, I love a Goldschmidt. If you're playing on fantasy draft and you don't have Goldschmidt in your cash lineup, you're definitely doing something wrong.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, and I always like when I'm stacking against a guy like Garza, which obviously is a great spot. I always want a ton of exposure to the best guy on the other team. I mean, it's obvious, and I shouldn't even have to say it, but some people like try to get tricky and like stack all around the best guy. Or I mean, people do weird stuff, and I just love to just pound that spot.
Ryan Braun against Corbin. Corbin, a guy that really struggles with righty, gives up a ton of hard contact. He is more of a ground ball pitcher, but I feel like Ryan Braun is an excellent tournament play here.
I like Milwaukee a lot. I like them even more than Arizona, and it has a lot to do with this. The same thing as Houston, where you got two guys above 10K. I mean, VR at 10K. I mean, what's he going to be owned? He's not going to be owned at all at that price. And he's got a great matchup. I mean, he steals almost every time he gets on. I love everything about Milwaukee in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Milwaukee makes for an excellent stack, and I just don't get it. Like, people don't play Ryan Braun, and he's quietly having a 323 season with 14 home runs. Like, he's having a really good season, and I think he's healthy.
Look at his last 6 games. I mean, if you're a box
Nuts.
score guy, I mean, it's ridiculous how good he's been.
The thing that is crazy about Ryan Braun, too, is he has a stolen base in 4 of the last 6 games.
He can do it. I mean, the guy's as good as anyone in baseball. I mean, his numbers might not be, but you can put him legitimately with anyone in baseball and not like miss a beat. I mean, you could sub him in for Trout. You could sub him in for Harper. I mean, and they might not be as good, but you're not going to flinch and miss a beat with him in there.
Yeah, he's just been hurt for 2 years, and people just don't realize he's finally healthy. And
Because he's off the roids, he's got to battle through injuries a little bit more.
Atlanta at Minnesota, Irvin Santana, Lucas Harrell. Any interest in these guys here?
I mean, all these games we keep talking about all these pitchers, and it's like dumpster fire after dumpster fire out there. But I mean, I don't really have a ton of interest in this game again. I mean, Harrell maybe, but I just have a hard time going with him against Minnesota. And I'm looking, it's a 9-run total. Minnesota's a huge favorite. I mean, maybe Santana, I guess, against Atlanta, just because Atlanta is Atlanta.
It's a 15-game slate, and I feel like this is a game you just completely fade. Like, the pitchers, the hitters, You move on to the next game. I have no interest in the pitchers. I can't really pinpoint where I want any hitters that I feel like are in better matchups than other guys at their position. I feel like this is just a game fade.
There's just a few, like Freddie Freeman at 7,200 on draft. I mean, I think he's a good cash game play just because he's so cheap. And I mean, but it is such a good slate or such a deep slate that you don't need to play anyone in this game. I do agree with that. I mean, there's some good prices, but it's definitely not my favorite spot of the slate.
I will say that I overlooked Freeman because I had it up towards the top. I thought he was up towards the top. And at 7,200 for Freeman on draft, I have a lot of interest there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a 9-run total, so there's going to be some runs scored. And, I mean, even like Nunez and Sano at 8K, 7,800. I mean, I don't love it, but I don't completely hate it with a 9-run total. Against a younger pitcher like Harrell, I mean, he hasn't been very good either.
All right, let's move on. I just don't love that game. The Angels at the Royals, Dylan Gee against Tyler Skaggs. I talked about it so much yesterday. I tried to pin it home so much yesterday. Ian Kennedy against the Angels was just not a good play because they just don't strike out, and the same thing goes here for Skaggs, or not for Skaggs, for Dylan Gee. Hey, just in, Tony, the Angels don't strike out.
Yeah, I sat there and watched those guys on Twitter talk about it all day today, like how great of a play he is, blah, blah, blah. But the Angels don't strike out, so he can't be a good play. I mean, even if he throws a great game, he's not going to strike anyone out, so the value is just not there. I mean, what's best case scenario? Like 7 innings, like 2 or 3, 4 strikeouts. I mean, it's just not – the upside's not there. Even the floor's not there.
Now, Tyler Skaggs, this will be his first start in the big since 2014. He was ligament damage in his elbow. He's been pitching in AAA. 1.67 ERA and 32.1 innings. I like picking on the Royals, but I'm really kind of iffy on a guy like Skaggs, who we haven't seen since 2014.
Yeah, this is the type of game that I look at similar to how you looked at the last game. It's just almost a cross out to me. I mean, maybe Escobar as in cash games because he's only 4,800, but you just don't need that kind of value today with the pitching that's out there. So, I mean, it's almost a cross out game for me.
Yeah, unless we get any of these like cheap guys, if Eibner or one of these guys are hitting up towards the top of the lineup, then I'd have interest, but I'm with you. Outside of Pujols and Trout, this is a game fade.
There is. I mean, I don't like the game at all, but for the pitchers that are pitching in the game, there is a lot of cheap prices, but I just don't see the upside on a full slate.
Man, we spent so much time on all these other games. We get to these last 2 games, it's just like, all right, we got Tampa and the Dodgers here. Chris Archer, Bud Norris. Man, people love Bud Norris. What's your take on Bud Norris?
I've been on the train probably before anyone. I just think he figured something out. I mean, I don't know what he figured out, but I just really like what I've seen. And he's only 12,600 on draft. I mean, he had a bad game his last time out, I think. I mean, he only gave up – what happened in that game? Do you know? Was it rain or something?
The game at St. Louis, I think he pitched in that 18-inning game and just came in out of relief, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the game before that, he got beat up a little bit. But he still had 8 strikeouts. And, I mean, you just look at this price. I mean, 12.6 on draft is just too cheap on a day where the pitching just isn't that great as a whole.
Yeah. See, the thing about Bud Norris is he's so much better against lefties now, right? Like, he improved his cutter. He's been throwing his cutter. That's what I read on Fangraphs the other day. Like, his cutter is so much better than what it was. But when we're looking at the Rays, they're so right-handed heavy. Can he really do that? Because he's always, throughout his career, he's always struggled against righties and lefties. Like, and it worries me a little bit. And I don't know. I think that looking at like his price range, I think I have a little bit more interest in Kohler than I do in Norris.
I like them both. I could see myself seriously using them both. I mean,
you're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could spend that much, but yeah, I mean, he's favored. He's a minus. If I told you before the season that Bud Norris would be a -125 favorite over Chris Archer, you would laugh at me. Like,
I would have told you were crazy again.
That's what I mean. Like Vegas is telling you that it's the real deal. I mean, he might just have found something and he might be good. I mean, it's the lowest total of the night. He's super cheap and he's favored over Chris Archer. I mean, it looks like a great spot to me.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here. He did pitch in that 16-inning game against the Cardinals. They said it is just a side session, nothing to worry about coming into this game. So if you like Norris, there's no reason not to play him here.
Yeah, I mean, just from talking through all the games here on the podcast, I mean, I really like him. I mean, he's one of my favorite guys on the board for sure.
And the Rays, let's just point out one thing. They strike out a ton against righties. They strike out a ton against lefties, too.
You can say what you want about Bud Norris, too. I mean, you can say he's good or bad, but he's been striking dudes out like crazy. So, I mean, even if he gives up some runs, which I don't think he'll give up a bunch, he's got that strikeout upside. So, at this price, the upside's off the charts.
All right. If we want a cheap upside guy, I think I'm with you as far as upside goes. He definitely has more upside than Kohler. Like, Kohler is that floor play, and I feel like Norris is that upside play.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Kohler, the nice thing about him is he's going to be way lower owned. I mean, Norris is going to be really high owned on this slate, I think.
6,600 on FanDuel. Do you think he's popular there too?
I do. I mean, I just don't see the obvious play at pitcher, so I think people are going to go cheap, and it's the lowest total of the night. I mean, people love looking at Vegas. So the lowest total, he's favored over Chris Archer. I mean, everything points to him being popular in my mind.
Any interest in Archer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate him. I mean, it's still the lowest total. Like I said, he's got strikeout upside. I could even see a case of using both these guys in this matchup. I mean, on the two starter sites, I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think there could be a bunch of strikeouts.
One thing I want to note, though, the Dodgers have been hot as a team. This is a team that in the month of July, they have the third highest WRC plus. Their average is up. Their ISO's up. They're a team that's starting to get it going, and when a team that has this much talent starts getting it going, I just don't know if I like Archer. I think I'd rather play Bud Norris over Chris Archer. And if I would have told you that at the beginning of the season, I would have told myself I'm crazy.
I mean, I just can't believe it. I mean, it was a start like 10 starts ago for him where he looked really good, and it was just weird, and then he just keeps doing it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how Archer's been as bad as he has. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, I like Norris a lot better too.
I think I have some interest in Corey Seager. I don't mind Seager. I don't mind Grandal. And Adrian Gonzalez is a cheap first baseman play. He's been getting it going, and he's been hot over the last few games.
Yeah, he's just the type of guy I never loved, but he's been super hot, and I like to take hot guys, and I'm fine with picking on Archer, especially in this spot with the Dodgers where I think they'll be pretty low owned.
All right. Any Rays bats you want against Norris?
No, I mean, I'm going to have so much Norris that I don't want to pick on him with anybody.
Cincinnati at San Francisco, Cody Reed, Matt Cain. If you want a late game hammer, just stack the heck out of this game.
No question. And the Reds are the team I stack like literally every single day because I just love their lineup more than other people. And I feel like the up and down the lineup, you either got a power guy or a speed guy pretty much the whole way down. And they do struggle here and there, but I just like the upside they bring.
The only guy that doesn't have power or speed is Brandon Phillips, so don't play him in your lineup.
That dude. Every time we talk about it on the podcast, though, he comes back and I get to send you the tweets, so I might need to play him tomorrow.
You might. I won't be. So even against Matt Cain, I'm not going to play him. But as far as the Reds go, look at Adam Duvall. Look at Jay Bruce. He hit a 2-run homer in the game last night. Look at Votto. Look at these guys. Billy Hamilton's still criminally cheap. Like, look at the Reds here in the spot. I agree with you.
Billy Hamilton's actually been hitting the ball a little bit too lately. If he hits the ball he would be the best leadoff hitter of all time if he even hit like 250. Like, can you imagine if you guaranteed me he'd hit 250? Like, he could hit leadoff for every team in baseball.
He could score 100+ runs a year, easy, right?
Oh, it's fun. I like watching him. I mean, I just moved to Cincinnati, so I'll get to watch him more. But I just like watching him. I mean, he takes off, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's hitting 349 over the last 10 games. So
can you imagine if he hit like that for the season? It would be off the charts.
He would be one of the best fantasy players there is.
I already think he should be a lock in cash games when he's playing like this.
All
Well,
right.
people still say hot streaks aren't real.
Looking at Cody Reed, lefty here against the Giants, and Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford. Both these guys hit left-handed pitching really well. You get the reverse splits. Nobody plays these guys. I know Brandon Belt's been cold. He did have a home run in tonight's game against Desclafani. So I feel like this is a spot we can look at the lefty-lefty matchups.
What is the deal with the prices? Is it just how bad they've been?
I'm guessing, or it's because they're facing a lefty. Like, I don't know.
But I mean, you could realistically play Span, Crawford, and Belt, and they're 54, 52, and 64. Like, again, you don't really need to do it because there's no pitchers you need to pay up for. But like, what is the deal with the price? That's just way too cheap.
Yeah, and as we're doing this right now, Pagan just hit a home run. So like, Giants, Reds, late stack here, and if you're playing cash games, like Buster Posey, like he has to be your guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he looks great against Reed. I mean, the matchup's perfect. The price is perfect. I mean, and you can spend up. I mean, you don't need the money, so you might as well spend up on a guy like Posey in cash games.
All right, let's play some home run derby before we get out of here. Not playing tiers, no Coors Field, so we don't have to rule out any games. So I'll let you bat lead off here. Who do you have for a home run here?
Let me see. I mean, I'm just looking at I like that Oakland game a lot, but you can go first while I try to find one here.
Well, one of the guys that I had written down was from that Oakland game. So while you try to find one, I'm gonna just kind of squeeze right in here and take Josh Reddick.
I do like him. I'm going to take Ian. I'm going to go to the other side of the team and take Desmond. He's been hitting the ball well. He hit a bomb again tonight. I like his chances tomorrow to hit one out, so I'll go with him.
I think I'm going to go a little off the board here, and I'm going to say Matt Adams hits a home run in this game.
I like that. When you said it earlier, I really like the call.
Just like the price.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
$50 single entry tournament on FanDuel, the single entry series presented by Roto Grinders. I might have Matt Adams in my lineup tomorrow.
Oh, I don't blame you. I like that play a lot. I'll go with Manny Machado versus Bettis.
I'm glad that you like Machado. I think I'm gonna be super high on Machado. I just think he's underpriced.
Yeah, he let me down tonight too, so I can't wait to come back with him.
All right. I went off the board a little bit. I'm not gonna go off the board with this one. I'm just gonna lock in my home run here. I'm gonna go Ryan Braun.
Oh yeah, that's our boy we were talking about too.
Yeah, I need to lock in at least one homer. I feel like I can just go ahead and lock that in.
Yeah, I like that. How about give me Joey Votto for 3,300? He's been on fire since the All-Star break, really. Last year he did the same thing. He gets Matt Cain. That's always a good thing. The price is good. Lock him in.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anybody saying anything about chalk today. Desmond, Machado, Votto, Reddick, Adams, Braun. No chalk here today. So at the end of the day, if you had to pick one pitcher that was going to pick up a win, not named Danny Salazar, he's the only guy that's priced out of the price range that we look at. Doesn't have to score the most fantasy points, but he's going to win. Who do you have?
I mean, the safest guy, I think, is Hendricks, even though I don't like him. But if I had to right now go with one pitcher that I'm going to take, it's going to be Bud Norris. I just love him. I mean, the price is cheap, but I actually like him. I think he's got the most upside. So, I mean, I guess Hendricks is the safest, but I like Bud Norris the best.
I'm going to go Jaime Garcia. I like Jaime to pick up a win against the Mets. You said that he was not favored in this game. I feel like that's really interesting. I like Jaime Garcia here.
I mean, it's close to flat line. So, I mean, he could be favored by tip-off even against Cologne. So, it's not super off the wall.
Well, Tony, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, it was fun coming back on. It's been a while, but glad to be back on and keep up the good work.
I'm glad you got all settled in and moved, man. I just can't imagine moving across country with a family. I'm sure that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I mean, it's been an interesting month to say the least.
Well, I saw the pictures on Facebook. You guys look happy, so I'm happy for you, my friend. Thanks for joining us again. We'll be back on Wednesday. Make sure you guys are tuning into that. We have Derek Carty coming on to talk the chalk, and I'll be talking some contrarian plays. So we'll see you then. Good luck in your contest, and good night.